guys, happy Tuesday. This is it used to be Anything But Average. Now it's Walk Away Wealthy. We renamed it. We're coming on an hour earlier today, normally on at 12 Central every Tuesday. Been doing this for 3 years now to bring you positive messages and ways to improve your life and your business. We're on early today because I have on this amazing powerhouse woman. Her schedule's insane, and getting us together to get on a 12 o'clock Central time for today wasn't going to happen. And I wanted her to get on because her team's killing it. So I have Spring from Utah on here, and I am super excited for her to give you guys a lot of insight. Hi.
Oh my gosh. Hi. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you have a set time every single, for 3 years. I was like, this is my only availability. So
Hey, we're going to make it work because number one, here you guys, if you haven't been paying attention to the news, good for you. But if you have, you hear all of this stuff about the housing market, and it's in a crash, and homes aren't selling, and home values are crashing, and we're headed into foreclosure world, and it's going to be worse than '08. And I thought, you know what, every area of the United States is different for sure. I'm in Houston, Springs in Utah. And why are we listening to a generalization? I have friends all over the world. Why am I not putting somebody on here every week to bring you guys real info? Spring is obsessed with the market, clearly, and you'll hear how and why, because her team is killing it. But she can't be killing it if she doesn't know what she's doing, and she's not. So Spring, for people that don't know you or anything about you, first let's kind of give some backstory, how long have you been in real estate, and identify yourself a little bit, please.
Yeah. So I'm Spring Bengtzen. I'm out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been in real estate for about 20 years. It's crazy when I think about that. I'm like, man, it's been a long time. So I've seen it all, Tricia. I started my real estate career working for a land developer back in the early 2000s that I sold luxury real estate to. Then in the '08, '09 era of foreclosure short sell, I went through selling their vacation second homes to short selling them, right? To then moving into a metro market is what I call it, the Wasatch Front. And we built a large team. We've absolutely crushed it. We've grown substantially. Our business is up 60% this year. And so I'm happy to walk you through what we're doing. But I think in terms of the market, yeah, the market's down, but there's a lot of factors that we can talk about that's creating that. But I'm just a believer in real estate. You create your own market. So homes are always going to sell. People always have to move. There's life circumstances. And as a realtor, you get to choose if it's going to be you that they work with or not. So that's kind of that's the way I look at it.
I love that you just said that. So y'all, Spring and I are on the same thing, been in real estate almost the exact same amount of time, been at every big box company out there, seen it all. And in 2008, 9, and 10, when we went through the crash, I was a lender during that time. So it sucked really bad. Yeah. So let's start right there, because of course the media is all hyping up what's going on right now. Interest rates keep escalating. It's going to be another '08. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, I never listened to the media. I don't think I've watched the news or read the news in God knows how long. I think the last time, Tricia, was when the elections were happening, almost 3 years ago. I turned it on just to see, and it gave me so much anxiety. I was like, I don't know how people watch this without feeling like the world's coming to an end, But here's the deal. So I think the difference between now and '08, '09, '10 is, if you remember, anybody could get a loan. So I remember getting a stated income loan. I just had a great credit score. And I remember buying $1 million home. And at the time I could afford it. So it was great, but they didn't go off of debt to income ratios or anything like that. It was 100%. She has good credit. Cool. She can pay for this. So one, there were a lot of people buying things they probably should not have been purchasing. Two, I think the difference between now and then is people have a lot of equity. So over the last, 10 years, home values have just been increasing substantially, and especially since the pandemic. And so yes, have interest rates gone substantially higher than they were? We've never in history seen where interest rates have gone from 2, 3, 4% and raised as quickly as they ever have. So yes, I can understand why they're hey, rates just keep on going up. And this is a concern, because it is a concern. The difference between back in '08, '09 and today is, one, is people have equity. So as I mentioned before, so if they're in a financial bind, they can sell their home instead of before when they were in a financial bind, they didn't have any equity. They had to short sell or foreclose it.
Yep.
So now if it's like, hey, I can't afford this or I need to move or whatever, like they have enough equity, they can usually generally get out of it. The second component of it is that there's a lack of inventory.
Yeah.
So because of the 08, 09 situation, builders stopped building for a hot minute, right? And we've never caught up. And then as you would probably agree with me, what you guys saw in 2020, 21, 22, people got multiple properties because rates were so low that they're like, cool, I'll go pull my equity and buy an investment property or whatnot. And so like there's a lack of inventory, and then you have multiple people coming out to purchase homes that probably wouldn't have purchased in the past. And so I think it's just like this perfect storm scenario that I don't see like housing crisis in terms of like prices falling or anything like that. I think if there's a problem, Tricia, it's that rates are higher and home values are higher. So it's making affordability a problem. But in terms of like, do you have a home and you're not going to be able to sell it in the value? No, you're just fine. Most likely.
So here in Houston and Texas as a whole, homeowners insurance rates are like crazy. Some have went up 50 to 70%. Are you guys seeing the same thing there in Salt Lake?
No, but you have to also think we don't have any natural disasters. I mean, the only thing that we have here would be an earthquake, and we haven't had an earthquake in, knock on wood, a long time. So we're easily insurable state. So it's really a moot point at this point.
Which is like so crazy because I've been talking to people from all different states. We have somebody on every week, and like California, it's going crazy. Like it's super hard for insurance there. Florida, there's carriers that aren't even insuring a lot of people in Florida. So that's a huge variable. So you guys paying attention? Like I always talk to our agents. I'm like, number one, you got to be skilled at sales and negotiating for sure, always. But now, especially in the Houston market, you better understand homeowners insurance and what really is that house going to cost them to insure it, and then interest rates. So you're going to have to be really educated at all of this stuff. With you guys in Salt Lake, are you still seeing like a mass influx of people moving into Salt Lake City?
Yeah, not as crazy as the pandemic, but when people were working from home. But yeah, I mean, our market's still down. I think last I looked, we're down by 20%. We were down by 40%. When I say down, I'm meaning like not home values aren't down. Home values are up, but the number of transactions happening are down. And that's because there's less buyers and sellers in the marketplace. I mean, fun fact, I think when I spoke at the Modern Mortgage Summit, they said that I think it was like either 60, it might have been as high as 70% of all rates in the United States start with a 2 or a 3. So meaning like most people's home interest rates are incredibly low. In fact, this is funny. My husband was like, hey, so-and-so sent me this house. We should look at it. And I said, you know, Brian, I don't think we're going to move anytime soon until our kids are out of high school. I'm like, do you know why? And he all, what? I'm like, do you know what I love about this house? And he's all, what? I'm like, I love the rate. Like, we just can't, we can't replace it. So we're here, So
you know what we're seeing a lot of, and I am seeing a lot of it. I think God works in just mysterious ways. He puts me in these people's lives, but here the elderly have really gotten hit because when the pandemic hit, so Houston housing appreciation usually only is like 2.9 to 3.4% ever. But when this pandemic hit, housing appreciation went like crazy here. So people were like, oh my gosh, my house was worth 200,000 more than it was, which is money that they just normally wouldn't see. And so a lot of the elderly that were on fixed incomes and had been in their house 20, 25 years, they went in and pulled cash out to get out of debt that they had accumulated, thinking, of course, that things were going to stay the same and things were going to get better for them. And of course, inflation has gone crazy and the cost of living has gone up so much. Now they're in a situation because their home may or may not be worth what they pulled out, but their income hasn't increased.
Yeah.
And actually they owe more now. So we're having to sell a lot of the elderly people's homes that have been in them 25 and 30 years because they can't sustain the expenses. And right now they still have a crap ton of equity. Are you seeing the same thing there?
No, but we're a very, very young state,
Yeah.
right? So like our population, I think we're the one of the youngest populations here. I will tell you this. I do have a friend who is a lender, and we were talking about rates and refinances and all this stuff. And she had told me, she said, here's what generally happens is consumers don't stop their spending. So let's just say like life is happening, you're racking up your credit cards, all of that. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, I've got this debt. And the easiest way to pay off that 20% interest rate on your credit card is to go refinance your home at a 7% rate instead of the 3 and pay off that consumer debt. So she goes, it usually goes, the average consumer goes in these cycles of overspending and they pay it off with their home equity. And I mean, I don't live that way, so I just don't even grasp it. But that is where, because I'm like, are you ever going to refinance somebody? And of
Right.
course, yes, because rates are at 7 and when it drops to 5, it will be a massive refi boom. But she said, even if not, like we know consumer from the trends, consumer behavior is they don't stop spending and then they have to go take out a home equity line or a refinance to pay off that debt. And so to exactly what you're saying, you're talking about the elderly. Generally speaking, that's normal consumer behavior.
Isn't that crazy though? When you think about it, it's like, holy crap. Like I'm thankful though. And so to go back to like, oh, 08, that's right there why it's not going to be another 8, because thankfully they can sell their homes and get out of this situation and be able to start over. But it's such a crazy world that we live in. Here in Houston, we were running like about a month to a month and a half of inventory on the market. We're up to about 2.5 months now of inventory. What are you guys seeing there in Salt Lake?
Same. Yeah. And we were running about that. Now we're almost to 2 months. And so, which is great. I mean, so to give you guys who are listening to this perspective, a normal, healthy, stable market is 6 months supply. So when we talk about a month or 2 month, it means that there's not enough inventory, that if every home that was listed today, it would take it 2 months to sell. And so that alone, like until we get to that 6+ months, you're not going to see a shift in the market of it going to a buyer's market and massive negotiation and all those. It's still a seller's market if your home is priced correctly.
I'm so glad you just said that. Okay. Now, here in Houston, we've got still some sellers and real estate agents that aren't educated that are still thinking it's the pandemic and let's price our home like grossly over what it's really worth. And of course, those homes are failing to sell. Do you guys have that going on there?
Yeah, I think every market will. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's just, I think that's a weak agent,
Yeah.
truthfully. Like it's a weak agent that's not willing to, that doesn't know how to have a quality conversation with their seller to educate them. So yeah, we'll see that. We'll see some that are taking too long or it's grossly overpriced, but then we see the realistic ones that are going into multiple offers as well. And so it really just depends. That's why like whoever your audience is on this, like you have to hire an agent who actually knows the market. I was on a previous coaching call right before I hopped on here, and I was saying, I'm like, the agent that was a 2020 successful agent is not going to be successful in a 2023 market unless they're willing to shift what they're doing. Because what made you successful in that market is different than today. Like you could tell the seller, sure, list your home wherever you want. We're good to go. Like it'll sell tomorrow, multiple offer. Now it's having a quality conversation saying, hey, yes, in 2020, but today, because of this, your home needs to be priced here. And if we don't have any showings or an offer within 10, then we need to do a price reduction. And just having those quality expectations and conversations is what's going to set the seller up for success and the agent up for success.
I love that. And I'm going to lead right into like how agents are going to be successful because it all depends on, like I tell everybody, you have to pay attention to who you're paying attention to. And right now we're in a market that we've never seen before. No one can predict interest rates. No one knows when they're coming up or down. It's just completely unpredictable. You got even like economists that are refusing to even make any more projections because they're like, clearly I don't know. Everything I projected for 2023 didn't happen for the first time
Yeah.
ever. Like Barry Habib even like, I'm not even saying anything anymore because I don't know. Nobody knows. We
Yeah.
can guide and educate, and you and I study the market like crazy so that we can train our agents. So Spring, for you guys, y'all need to start taking some notes here because Spring's team has been scaling like crazy in a market where we were selling homes like crazy during COVID. Anybody could scale like that. She's continued to grow, and even more so in this shifted market. Spring, kind of talk everybody through like your last 3 years of growth, if you could.
Yeah. Well, we've grown substantially. We've gone from like 300 to 600. We'll do 900 transactions this year. Hopefully we're on pace. We'll see what happens fourth quarter.
Yeah.
As you know, there's no predicting, right?
Yeah.
But year to date, we've sold more homes than we did all of last year. So we're pacing it. I mean, here's the thing, Tricia. I don't think there's any secret to this business. So one thing I like about it is that like everybody's pretty much an open book and are very transparent of what to do. The thing about it is you have to treat it like a business. So when we looked at what was happening, like, I don't know about you, but I know you were a mortgage in the 08, 09, 010, but I lost everything in that market. Meaning I ended up short selling my home. My husband's business at the time was the car industry. If you guys remember, like, you probably don't, but the car manufacturers like shut off. Like everything was a hot mess. And I just remember being like, I will never put myself back in this situation. And it wasn't that I was living like some high and mighty fancy life. I did have a pretty decent lifestyle, but we weren't living above our means. But it felt like it just happened really quick.
Yeah.
And so I remember the pressure of the financial pressure of like, we can't afford this. And oh my gosh, like our house payment was high and I remember making the decision to short sell our home. It was a business decision at that point. And I remember we ended up moving into a rental and I went from like $1 million home at the time that my payment, because we had to take out a second equity line and all this stuff was like $8,000 a month. And then moving into a rental that cost me $1,200 a month. And I remember the financial freedom and like the breath of fresh air of like, oh, I feel like I can breathe,
I bet.
I promised myself I would never get back there. So I've always ran this like a business. And so making business decisions, seeing it, how it is and what's happening. And so when this started happening again, rates in March just started like skyrocketing. The first thing we did was look at all of our expenses and said, what is necessary and what is a necessity and what is nice. And we cut everything that was nice. So I had to let a few employees go that didn't drive revenue to the bottom line. We went through our P&L and cut every expense that we could cut because things got frothy. And then I looked at it and said, okay, we're down by 40%, like across the US and in Utah. Like, can I cut 40%? No. So I need to make up 40% in revenue. And how do I do that? Well, can I expect my agents on my team to work 40% harder? No. And make the same amount of money. Can I expect to increase their skill set by 40%? Probably not enough to like turn the wheel that quickly. And so one thing that we knew we were good at is that we can lead generate and we can train. And so we went into a massive recruiting and brought in a bunch of people that we were like, we will teach you how to sell homes. The beautiful thing about that is they were not coming off of 2020. So they didn't know what it was like to just pick up your phone and be like, yeah, I'll meet you there. And then you write it off for over asking price and hard earned earnest money. Like, these agents actually had to work, right? And so we started recruiting to the subculture, the culture we wanted. And so the new agents, we brought on a bunch of new agents and trained them, and that's what started saving us. And then our agents that we already had were like, man, how are these guys being successful and we're not? And it was an eye opener for them of like, wait, maybe it's not the market, maybe it's me. And because of that, they started getting into production, and we've had a phenomenal year. So it started with adding the human capital component of it. But then on top of that, let's forget that you're a team. Let's just say you're an agent. The thing about this market is it's going back to the foundation. So people have said, go back to the basics, go back to whatever. You guys, I don't know why we ever left it. Like, why did we ever leave the foundation of what made us successful? But the foundation of what makes any realtor successful is a few key components. One, you have to know that you are the product. The consumer is buying you to help them buy or sell their home. And so your knowledge, your expertise, your certainty, why they should work with you, like, you have to be that person. So take the gut check. Like, have I invested in myself? Am I a great listing agent? Have I put myself through this training? Do I bring something different to the table? Like, what's my unique value proposition? Like, when you can start looking at, like, man, I am the product. How am I showing up? And am I investing in myself? That starts being a game changer. The second component I would say is, we all know this business is simple but not easy. And the simple component is you have to lead generate, and then you have to service them. But your number one job is to lead generate. So the second question was, what are you doing to generate this business? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you waiting for the phone to ring, or are you being proactive of generating the business? And then I think, Tricia, this is where they're saying, go back to the foundation. You generate the business, but here's the deal. Like, we were so used to people being like, okay, I'm ready today. I'm ready. Like, let's go. The agents didn't have to build a relationship and create value out of that initial. And so now it's going back to being like, no, maybe I talked to Tricia about, hey, I'm interested in a home in Houston. Here's my parameters, but I'm not going to buy today. So now Tricia needs to create a relationship with me and follow up and provide that value. And when you do, that's how you get the business, right? And I think that's where, going back to your database, creating value, creating the relationships, and making sure you're talking to enough people. It's seriously so simple. It's just not easy because people aren't willing to be disciplined enough to do it.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
With your team, tell everybody how big your team is now.
We're up to 92 agents last I looked. Yeah, I think the intent for by the end of the year to get to about 120.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like, and not all of them are created equally. Like, the way that I explain the team is, we're a vehicle, and you get to choose how fast you want to drive it. So if you want to drive a Prius, I'm cheering you on. And if you want to drive the Ferrari, I'm going to cheer you on. But it's your choice of how you choose to show up. Like, the systems and the processes are there for anybody to be successful in. And some people want, I think it's the 80-20 rule in anything in life. We have 20% of them that are like superstars. And then we have the other 80 that are doing well, especially better than industry standard, but they're not being like, hey, I want to be the superstar.
No. And you and I had a conversation too. The average agent sells 3, 4, if they're lucky, 5 homes a year. But you've got, like you said, a lot of average agents, especially now you're up to 90 agents. That's a lot. But the culture that you provide for them, like, your people are sucked into it because they want to be part of something big. How hard was it for you to establish that culture with that many people?
It's just grown over the years. And when I say average, just so you know, like, you can't be in my world if you're only selling 3, 4 homes a year. So, so when I'm saying they're average, I'm saying they're average for our team, but they're above average. Like, we have a minimum of 1 home a month. So they're way outperforming the industry standard. I'm just saying, like, they're average on our team and haven't chose to go to that, like, I'm going to go sell 3 or 4 homes a month. Right. I would say the culture piece, it's a daily effort. I mean, it's been built over time. It didn't start where it's at. I'm really fortunate, as you know, my right hand, Justin, he is like, I'm the brains, like the head, and he's the heart of the team. And so I run here's the business side, and he runs the human side of it. And together it's a powerful duo, because he brings a lot of that human culture, fun, heart to it. And I'm like, here are the numbers. Let's figure this out. you know?
So you talked about standards, like one home a month is those your minimum standards to be part of your team and your organization. But you've got agents that are doing much more than that. When
Yeah.
you look at the daily disciplines and the daily habits, what do you see as a differentiator between the ones doing one a month or 5 or 6 a month?
Oh man. Well, I think it depends. Like I would say the ones that are showing up at a high level are showing up to script and role play. They're plugging in, they're dialed in their database, they're investing in themselves, they're very clear of like what their goals are and they're tracking it. I mean, it's just a different level of like, this is my career and this is how much money I'm going to make versus, hey, it would be great to make 70 grand. Like I think that the ones that are really rock stars have clear intentions of what they're doing and why they want to do it. And it truly is like their vehicle to creating their wealth, where I think some of them are like, I don't know that anybody really knows what they're getting into when they get into real estate. Like I think they like freedom and they're thinking that they're going to go show some nice houses. But at the end of the day, we know we're getting into sales and the product is you and your service. And so the confidence level, I think, starts with you investing in yourself. And I would say that's probably the number one thing is these guys that really are wanting it, start investing in themselves.
And you've got a lot of brand new agents, and there's this misconception like, oh, don't expect to make anything your first year. Tell a couple of people about some of your brand new agents.
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, that's absurd. But I mean, we do it different, right? So if you're a new agent, you're coming in for a 2-week boot camp. So we put you through a 1 week. It's called Hello Week. If you make it through Hello Week, then you go into the next week. And I only have 70% of the people who come in through Hello Week make it into the next week. And then we have 50% of just who came into Hello Week make it their 90 days. So we run a different ship because we're like, if we're going to spend our time and energy, we want you in production. Like that's how we make money. Right. But our average agent gets in 3 transactions within their first 90 days. And then I have some that are massive success stories that, we have one right now. He's been with us 8 months. He's sold 38 homes. I have a cute girl on my team who is 19, single mom. Massive why. I think she sold 7 homes like a month ago. Like it really comes down to like, I always say this, if you've got the grit, then we can teach you this skill. I just can't teach you the want and the desire to make it happen.
No, you can't make somebody hungry. They have to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
You guys, so Spring too, like I want to talk because y'all are about to hear, number one, how I even know Spring and like what the decisions I just made because of her. And so Spring, I want us to talk a little bit about like different team models and brokerages because that's a huge thing too, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So you were a solo agent for a long time, then you built a team, then you had your own franchise, and then you switched over to Real. Why did you make all those changes?
Yeah. So let's start with the team. So I was sole agent and I got to the point where I received like Realtor Magazine's 30 under 30 and did some cool stuff. And I was kind of bored. I was like, hey, what's next for me? And I don't know that I had any business starting a team, to be really transparent now, like looking back. But one of my mentors was like, hey, you should probably start a team. And so that was the path I went. It was quite messy for a while, even though we were one of the top teams. Like I look back and I'm like, man, I don't know how we did that other than we were charismatic and had lead flow, Yeah. But what ended up happening is I started growing and scaling and being like, okay, we're here now. What's next? What's next? I was at KW and I will tell you all day long, I'm KW built. I'm a fan. They're great. Like KW is a great platform, but I was just ready for more. And I thought in my head, I was like, okay, agents don't leave Spring. Generally speaking, like it's not a me issue. It's, hey, I don't want to pay your splits anymore, or hey, I need my next step or whatever. And so I was like, well, if I open up my own brokerage, then when they leave the team, they can just still be in the brokerage. And I was like, and also at that time, I wanted to start in the ancillary space. And so I was like, well, if I have a brokerage, I have more people that can feed a title company or these different things. And so I chose to go open up a Realty One franchise. And honestly, it was probably an ignorant decision, to be really transparent with you. I don't know that you know how when you're in a situation, you don't value it enough sometimes.
Yeah.
And, and I don't think I put enough value on KW at that time. And so I bought the Realty One, and I bought it because it was sexy. Like the branding was sexy. I went to like their corporate headquarters and it was sexy. And I mean, it was like, okay, this would be a splash in the local market marketing wise. And it was, but the back end model didn't work for me. Like the flat fee brokerage, the no training really, like, I mean, it was, I don't want to say not any training because I'm not disparaging. Like, I think Realty Ones are great for certain agents.
Sure.
It just didn't work for my model of having a team. And I was like, okay, I'm spending all this time building out a flat fee model, and I have this team, and I make way more money off this team than having 90 agents over on this flat fee model. And again, I was used to KW like pouring into like, here's training for your team, and here's these mega camps and all these different things. And that didn't exist over here, and nor should it. For if you're paying a flat fee, you shouldn't expect more than what you were getting. So like 100%. But what ended up happening is I was like, all right, I think I might have like, I'm feeling a little like just stuck. And my husband happens to be in the real estate tech space. And so at that time, it was in 2020, there were a lot of people who were doing big things in like the revenue share model, and they were growing and they're having fun and they're masterminding. And I'm like, I feel like I need to check this out. And so I was actually going to go to a different brand. And I had it all, like I'd worked with Realty One to sell my franchises. And I was so grateful. The regional owner here bought him back from me, and he was fantastic. Like, it was nothing but a positive experience with them. But I was like, I just need more. And so I was going to go somewhere else. And then one of my mentors and coaches said, Spring, I really love you. I'm the biggest Spring Bee fan there is, but I'm just going to ask you, like, you going to make that change, like a rev share model, like what's going to separate you? Like, why would somebody join you and not so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so? And I'm like, well, I'm going to do this women's thing and da, 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 da. And he's like, okay, get it. Like, I respect you, but before you make that decision, why don't you go research and see what else is out there? And I was like, okay. So I went in and researched a few different brands, and that's how I discovered Real. And it's just the universe. I won't even tell you, like, but the universe works in beautiful ways.
Oh, yeah.
And my husband actually happened to be on a call that week with the CEO of Real. And he's like, you know what? I think you should meet with my wife. And so he got me on with Tamir, and Tamir and I had a great conversation. And then I brought in my coach that was opinionated of my decision and on these conversations. And at the end of the day, I was actually still going to go to the other company because all my friends were there. And I'm like, I just want to be with my friends, you know? And everybody that was a mentor to me told me, like, stop making an emotional decision and make a business decision. And you would be insane not to make this decision. Like, go with the new company, take the risk. You have nothing to lose. Yep. And go create something. And so I did. And Tricia, joining Real has been like the best career decision I've ever made. Probably one of the best decisions of my life, period.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so great. And it's been a great financial win, like tenfold. But it's honestly the growth I've had, like the community, like meeting all, like, I now have 1,500 new friends that I didn't even know before. Like, we're growing, we're collaborating, we're creating. Like, this industry is so lonely, and it's like not in this ecosystem. I mean, you and I were on this group text, which I know people don't love it, but you do when you love who you're on it with, right?
Yeah, like, it's energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's energy. So it's been great. And I'm just super grateful for it.
So you guys, like, if y'all are not getting like your fill of wisdom and knowledge from her, you get to know her and follow her for sure. Yeah. So we are in part of the same wealth group. It's a mastermind group, and we meet quarterly in Arizona. And I had never met Spring before. And at Memorial Day, we were there in May. So not even that long. It was like just 3 months ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she got up and shared her story. I'd never talked to her, never seen her, nothing. She got up and shared her story. And I elbowed Paul and I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. She just shared her exact story. And I was like, I need to talk to her for sure because I need to see. Because then she talked about how she's grown her team out, and she never ever mentioned real. Like it was all about
I
what
never
she.
do, just so you know. Like I never do. Like I here's the thing, Tricia. I get asked to speak a lot. I coach a lot. Like I never want anybody to feel like it's a bait and switch or like, hey, I want to come check out our team and now she's going to pitch me on something. Like,
Right.
no, I want to provide value to you. And if we resonate, you're going to reach out to me about something. So I mean, have you ever been to some of those events that somebody gets on stage and you're like, oh my gosh, like, can you please stop pitching me?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know? Yeah.
My
And like, that just will never be me. And so, yeah, I didn't bring it up at all. So,
No, it's crazy. I was like, because our team is in constantly morphing into something else. And so I was already restructuring things and I had Paul with me and he helps run the company. And I was like, we need to go to Utah. We need to go talk to her. And sitting outside waiting for our Uber because we had to leave early to
yeah.
get back to Houston. And there you came out too. It was like, holy crap. And we just started talking. And then I followed her on Instagram and I was like, I want to go see your office building. I need to see your office building. I want to see your space. And I reached out to her. I was like, hey, can I come see your office? Like, I want to see how you guys run your team meetings. I want to see like how your team is engaging. What does that look like running that kind of a model and that big? Because I had been at EXP for almost 5 years. And I came from running my own independent brokerage and I had 50 agents in my own brokerage. And that was hell, a shit show. And had been at Remax and Keller Williams, all the big box companies for years.
Mm-hmm.
I knew all the models out there, I thought. And so I went to Utah, not for making a switch. I went to Utah to learn how to run her team at a high level so I could come back and do ours better. And then I started just listening and looking at it. And I was like, you know what? Like I've never even thought about like what would that look like if we started over with real, just to be transparent, it is nothing against EXP because there's so many people. I have a million friends at EXP
Yeah.
and they
Same.
Same.
Like, and I love them. I love them all. And I love EXP. Like if anybody is a big EXP fan, it's probably me because like you guys have paved the way of a lot of this, you know? So I'm a fan for sure.
It works. And for me here in Houston, there is just a huge opportunity. And I can walk away from what we've built at EXP and start over with real and move the people over with me and the model's already in place and be part of something that's new and fresh and exciting. And here's the real truth. There's a lot of agents and team leaders and brokers, especially right now that the market has shifted. People are freaking out and they're like, I can't find homes to sell. I can't find agents. Independent brokers are going broke. And I went through all of that stuff. I don't want anyone to ever go through all the stuff that I went through, but people don't know what are their options. Independent brokers, a lot of them don't want to go to EXP and they don't want to go to Keller Williams and they don't want to stay independent. So they're like, what do I do? Because no one's really heard of real yet. And some people at EXP are like, I'm not going to Keller Williams, but I'm not happy here either, but I don't know where to go. And that I'm hearing constantly. And I knew that. And so I'm thinking I got put in the right place at the right time to have this right opportunity for the right people. And we are super freaking excited.
Yeah, it's really fun. I think the key to that is just the right people, right? Like I do agree with you, Tricia. Like being an independent broker right now is incredibly hard because like in my world, I could pull the lever and be like, I have these leads, you pay me XYZ, we either show up and do the work or you don't. But when you own a traditional brokerage, like they're 1099 contractors, you don't have any control over like how they're showing up or what they're doing. And so there's a lot of liability and risk. And I think you're going to see real bring on quite a few independents that are like, man, I just want to get rid of this overhead and risk and let me do my thing. And it's a really great model for that. So I agree. Like you and I are right place, right time. Sure. And it's really cool to be with a company that I believe in. Yeah. I believe in the leadership. I believe in the culture. I believe in everybody. But on top of that, it's really fun to watch it just grow and people succeeding. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Let's go, you know.
Change lives, Spring. Like literally to change lives because I was at EXP for almost 5 years. It's been 5 years next month. And I was there when it was starting to grow. And there was 11,000 agents when I joined, and the stock was at $3 a share. And I watched that stock grow to almost $100 a share. And there I had almost $1 million in stock in there. And I've told everybody, I'm gonna say it right here publicly too, because there's a lot of people that watch this. Y'all need to buy the real stock. It's REAX.
Yeah.
It's like I looked yesterday. I think it was like $1.88 a share. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? You need to buy as much
Yeah.
as you possibly can, because it's going to soar. It is only
You
going to
sound
soar.
like my husband. My husband was telling my children, my older children, that he's like, it can't get any like this isn't buy the real stock, you know. I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Like I've even told all of our agents, I've told people, because people that they saw the public announcement, and so they've been reaching out to me. I was like, here's an insider tip I'm going to give you. I'm not a stockbroker and I'm not a financial advisor, but if I were you, I would buy as much as you can of that stock, because I know what's going to happen. I've seen it before.
Because you've seen it, right? You've been part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so cool because Houston is such a thriving market. And yes, the market's hard. And there's a lot of people out there, like I felt sorry for there's older agents in their 80s that still have to go out on listing appointments and sell homes because they were at one of these other models that don't have and don't show you ways to build wealth. Like, how do you really build wealth? It's not about selling homes. Yes, selling homes can give you a foundation and provide the income and the revenue to get you involved in other wealth building things. But at the end of the day, if you want to spend the rest of your life going on listing appointments and working with buyers, I mean, that's great if that's what you want. But the true secret to building wealth is to create streams of income. And you can't do it at these traditional models, period.
Yeah. I 1000% agree with you. And it's, I always say as super unfortunate, like here's the problem that I think is a lot of times we get stuck and we become closed-minded of what other opportunities are out there. And sometimes you just have to be willing to be like, hey, I'm curious, because once you get curious and you actually like understand it, I know EXP gets a lot of flack of like, oh my gosh, all they do is recruit and da da da. Well, I didn't understand it till I understood the model. And then I was like, well, no wonder, like, this is a no brainer. Like, why would somebody not want to have stock and revenue share and the communities and stuff? And so like, I don't falter the fact that they went out and were like, boom. I think it's the same. Like once you see like at Real or any of these models, you're like, I'm in, the biggest differentiator of what separates Real from EXP is, in my opinion, it does have a different culture. So it's whatever one you're going to fit into. But the revenue share program, if you choose to participate, is more aggressive on the people that you actually bring to the company or like can influence instead of being more aggressive towards the bottom of like you're growing it larger. And so it really actually benefits a lot of agents. And there's some changes that are going to be announced here actually that I think will benefit even more agents. And so I think that it's just one of those things that Real's looking at is like, how do we benefit all agents,
Yeah. And I think what a great time to do it when the market is down and people are going through really hard times. And we probably got at least 6 more months of this. And I think it's going to be an opportunity for those that are really pouring back. Because like our tagline forever has been driven by passion, inspired by others, because we are here in my company. Like I've been through hell. I was a single mom for years. I went through a very dark time. I had over $100,000 in credit card debt. I don't anymore. And I've continued to grow and just pour into our agents, and I'll never stop. And people will say all the time, they're like, you're there and present with them like all the time. Do you ever get like sick of this? Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. But I said I would do it. I raised my hand and I said I would, because I'm going to be the way to show you. I'm going to be the one to show you a better way so that you don't go through the things that I went through. And I get that same thing from you because you went through things and you're like, I'm going to show you a way. I've been blessed and I want to bless others.
Yeah. Well, I think Tony Robbins hits on this, right? Like the fastest way to mastery is modeling other people who have done it. And like, that's why you hire a coach. It's why you hire a mentor or whatever, because somebody has already circumvented and gone through the hard. And I think that's our responsibility, right? Like, let us help you get there. I would say, it's interesting, Tricia. I've been like taking a retrospect back look. One of my coaches actually sent me a message the other day and said, if you knew now, 7 months into the year, 8 months into the year, what would you have done differently? And I'm like, I've had a lot of like retrospect on the team and stuff, but I think in terms of I think I would have been more purposeful of getting the message out, because it's life-changing for so many people in my world right now. Like, it's not just me. There's so many people, even on my team, that are like, hey, my stock portfolio, like I actually have stock, or, oh my gosh, I've got a little bit of revenue share that pays my cap or whatever. And I'm like, man, I should have been louder and prouder about it. So,
Hey, you know what? Somehow we got brought together and we're going to do it. Like, we are going to do it. Hey, can we talk a little bit about September 6th?
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, I have so many things. I'm like, which one's September 6th? Okay. September 6th, we're doing an Own It event. Ownit2023.com. It's a virtual event. Myself, Joe Herrera, Amy Youngren, Mike Shum, and then our real estate collective, which is people like Tricia, and all of our agents across the US have teamed up to bring this virtual event. We have paid speakers. So it's not like hey, we just asked one of our friends to show up. Like, these are legit, awesome speakers that are going to bring you massive value. The theme of it is own it, like own the end of your year, own going into 2024, like own it. And so we have people from Giselle, who's going to be hitting on social media, Sharon on business. Like, it's going to be super solid. So Own It 2023, it's free. We have hundreds of people signed up. Our goal is thousands. We'd love to have you there. And I'm excited. And then it's something else I'll throw out to your audience too. We do a shadow day. So Tricia just reached out and said, hey, can I come to your office? And it was a yes. And what we ultimately did, we've done them every quarter, but we're going to move them to every month. A lot of my personal growth has come from shadowing other people's organizations, not personal growth, but business growth. And I was like, oh, that's not that difficult. Like, I made up a story in my head that this was going to be hard, and then actually seeing it done. And so we're actually going to open up Shadow Day for free to anybody, any of your listeners. If you want to come, my next one's September 20th. If I think I only have like 5 spots left. But if anybody wants to come, hit me up on Instagram, Real Spring B, and we'll get you guys signed up. It's a great day. We walk you through. You'll see a live morning huddle, script and role play, team meetings. We'll do a mastermind. We'll show you how our whole business is ran. This is for a team owner. So if you're like a solo agent selling a few homes a month, like, this isn't for you. Don't waste your time. But if you're a team owner being like, how is another team scaling and what can I do? Come join us. We'd love to see you. Just shoot me a DM and I'll connect you over to my team to get you connected. So
for sure. You guys, she's got a beautiful office. You'll love it. You'll want one of your own.
yeah.
Her building is amazing. And it's just good culture. You'll come back and be like, I need to do this and this and this. Super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spring, thank you so much for being on today. I wanted to definitely have you on here, get your wisdom, knowledge. Your energy is just infectious. It's super cool.
Thanks. I'm sorry I made you change your time too. So thanks for being flexible, my friends.
Hey, best place for everyone to find you, Spring.
Find me on the gram, realspringbee.com, or not. Well, okay, realspringbee on gram, or my website, springbee.com. So, but Instagram, let's be friends. I'll follow you back. Like, we'll connect. And I'm just excited to grow with you, my friend.
Oh yeah. We're having a lot of activity here in Houston, and it's only going to get better.
Are you going to the Be Wealthy Mastermind?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do a private mastermind at my home the day before. So I'll make sure I get you an invite.
Yes, you do. Because I think I booked our stuff, but I'll just add on. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to do it the day before, like afternoon, evening, with like 30 or 40 people from that group of just real estate mastermind, not wealth. So I think it'll be good. So invites will come out this week, and plan on it.
I'll be there. Count me in.
Okay,
you guys make sure and follow us on social. If you have any questions about the market, or like, how can you do more, be part of us, make sure and hit both of us up, or want to learn more about Real, for sure.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Y'all have an awesome day. Bye.
Bye.